So, Superman. You know the look. Blue suit, red cape, that S right on the chest. He's probably one of the most recognizable figures on the entire planet. But what if I told you that the hero you think you know is actually built on a foundation of some really surprising secrets, and honestly, some pretty shocking twists?
Yeah, that phrase, right? Look, up in the sky. You know it, I know it, basically everyone knows it. It just perfectly nails that classic image of the Man of Steel soaring through the clouds. You'd think it was there from day one, like etched in steel.
Okay, so let's get right into it, because here's the big twist. So many of the things we think are just essential Superman stuff. We're talking his powers, his weaknesses, even some of his closest friends. They didn't actually come from the comics. Well, not at first anyway.
I mean, for decades, we've all seen him as this unwavering symbol, Truth, justice, and the American way. A character that seems totally set in stone. But the truth is, he's been constantly reinvented. And believe it or not, one of the biggest reinventions ever didn't happen on the page. It happened on the airwaves. Yeah, the 1940s radio show, The Adventures of Superman, is responsible for a huge chunk of what we now think of as classic Superman lore.
Okay, get ready for this, because the list of stuff that came from the radio show is just wild. His power of flight? Yeah, in the first comics, he just leaped tall buildings in a single bound. Kryptonite, his most famous weakness? That was invented for the radio. Perry White, the shouting editor of the Daily Planet? Radio. Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen? You guessed it, radio. Even those classic catchphrases like up, and away, and get this, his very first team-up with Batman happened on the radio first. It's crazy!
And what's even crazier is how long it took for these ideas to actually become official in the comics. I mean, look at this. Perry White shows up on the radio in February 1940, but doesn't pop up in the comics for 10 whole months. Superman starts flying on the radio in 1940, but it takes until May of 41 for him to do it on the page. And Kryptonite, this one blows my mind. It's introduced on the radio in 43, but doesn't show up in the comics until 1949. That's a 6-year gap. 6 years! And just like that, this one single thing, a radioactive rock from his home planet, became the ultimate plot device, right? It was the one thing that could bring the Man of Steel to his knees. It created stakes and vulnerability where, honestly, there really wasn't any before.
So why was it invented? You'd think it was for some huge, epic, dramatic reason, right? Nope, it's because the voice actor, a guy named Bud Collyer, just needed a vacation. I'm not kidding. They literally created Superman's greatest weakness so they could have a stand-in actor just groaning in pain for a few episodes while Collyer took a week off. That has to be one of the best origin stories of all time.
All right, so let's shift gears from his greatest weakness to maybe his most powerful feature, that symbol. That S is recognized absolutely everywhere. But what does it actually mean?
Well, way back in 1938, the answer was pretty simple. The S just stood for, well, Superman. That was it. End of story. It wasn't until the 1978 movie that the lore got a whole lot deeper, and it was redefined as the family crest for the Kryptonian House of El,
and from there the meaning just kept getting layered on. It starts as just an initial in 38. Then in 78 it becomes this cool family crest. But then in a 2004 comic series called Superman Birthright, they added another layer. It's not just the crest of the House of El, it's also the Kryptonian symbol for hope. And man, that is the meaning that really stuck with people.
But Superman's evolution isn't just about adding cool new meanings and powers. Over 80+ years of storytelling, things have also gotten, well, really weird. And sometimes, incredibly dark.
I mean, check this out. Case in point, this absolutely bizarre power from a 1958 comic. For a little while, Superman could shoot a tiny, fully powered version of himself right out of his hand. This little mini Superman would leech all his other powers, go do some heroic deed, and then basically just sacrifice himself. It was a choice. It just goes to show you, writers were just throwing everything at the wall to see what would stick back then.
But things can get a lot darker than just weird. Let's talk about the Injustice storyline. This one asks a really chilling question. What would it actually take to break the most powerful man in the world and turn him into a total monster?
And the contrast here is just brutal. Our Superman, the one we know, is a beacon of hope. He believes in humanity, and he has a strict vow never to kill. The Injustice Superman, he becomes a global dictator who rules through sheer fear. He thinks humanity has to be controlled, and he murders anyone who stands in his way, even his oldest friends.
So, how does he get to that point? Well, it's hands down one of the most horrific tragedies ever written in comics. The Joker kidnaps a pregnant Lois Lane. Then he uses fear toxin to trick Superman, making him see Lois as his arch-nemesis, Doomsday. And Superman, totally hallucinating, accidentally kills his own wife and their unborn child. But the Joker wasn't done. He had wired Lois's heart to a nuclear bomb in Metropolis, so when her heart stops, the whole city is destroyed. And in that moment of just unimaginable grief and rage, Superman flies down, kills the Joker, and starts his descent into becoming a tyrant.
So, from a weakness that was invented for a vacation, all the way to a tyrannical dictator, what does all this show us? It shows that Superman is anything but a static character. He changes, he adapts, he morphs with the times.
Even his famous motto evolved with the world around him. For years, he just fought for truth and justice. That iconic American way part, that was actually added on the radio show right after World War II, when the show's focus shifted to fighting things like bigotry and racism at home. It just proves that what he stands for changes to reflect what's important at the time.
So here's the real takeaway, the thing to remember. Superman has lasted for more than 80 years, not because he's some fixed, unchanging monument, but because he's a mirror. He reflects